The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy, you're invited.
The East is where we're from. The 12 tribes of Israel.
Come on in.
721 BC. The Assyrian king, he took us down, we fell. With a great escape, we went through the Euphrates. The Lord held the waters still.
Shalom, shalom, shalom. How are you?
To a land where no mankind dwelt, we went. The 12 tribes of Israel. That's who we be. Manasseh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, and Valley from the Isles of Hawaii.
Shalom, shalom. The Most High. Calling back Israel. Come on.
From Panama, the North American Indians, Simeon, the Dominicans, AHAYAH's gathering Israel.
The Arabs and Africans told us.
At gunpoint.
Together our wives and children then sold us. In the belly of these great ships we traveled and fished.
Shalom, brothers and sisters.
By the rivers of Babylon we found our brothers here.
AHAYAH, gather us.
In Colombia,
Whoa.
Reuben from Australia. Issachar, the Mexicans. AHAYAH's gathering Israel. Judah, the Negroes. Benjamin, the West Indians. Levi, the Haitians. AHAYAH's gathering Israel.
That's right, brothers and sisters. The Most High is gathering Israel. I'm here, Elder Rick Harshaw, the Gathering Christ Church. I'm here with a very important broadcast this evening. As you can see, it's titled, Love Has Waxed Cold. All right. Last Friday, I said that I was going to touch on the future percentages when it comes to single women by the year 2030. I am going to touch on that, but before we go there, we have to understand, according to the Bible, prophetically where we are that lead to the total destruction of family. Okay, and not just that. On top of that, where have we contributed towards the downfall? Right? Not to take blame, not to cast aspersions or blame on people, more so than to make as much as a change as we can for those who seek to survive what's about to happen. Okay? And I'm going to talk about that and more tonight. love has waxed cold. How are you doing before we go in? Hope you all are doing well. I see a lot of familiar faces. Let me say hi to my people here. Of course, Princess Judah, you're there all the time. Sharon, Talithia, how are you? Erica, Rosa. We got a lot of sisters in here today. Miss Bree Keeper, Princess Judah, Chanel. Where all my brothers at? Elizabeth. Oh, okay, I see. Hold up now. There you go. Yatazar Kazak, Hebrew Harris. All right. Brothers and sisters, thank you for all you do. Thanks for your presence. And yes, let's dive right in. Oh, there go my brothers. Oh, okay, all right. Brother Anthony, I see you there. All right. I'm about to say, hold up. Where all the brothers at? All right. Mr. Morris Moore. Sometimes brothers like to stay in the cut without signing in at all. I can understand that, but I see you rolling in. Thank you, my brothers and sisters. Let's jump right in. Right before I go in, I would like to make an announcement that starting August 1st, August 4th, that will begin a new installment of our Hebrew and Bible Academy, August 4th, okay? Let me put it up here so you all can see it here. 1 second. 1 second here. I'm going to put it up here briefly so you all can see it briefly here. All right. August 4th begins a new Hebrew and Bible Academy. Okay, brothers and sisters, I hope you all can join. The finances goes towards helping this work. And of course, we are diving into some brand new lessons. For those who have never been in the academy, brothers and sisters, you have no idea what you're missing. Okay, Hebrew 101, where Elder Lawyer dives into the original ancient Phoenician Hebrew, teach the letters and all of this. Is great for children also when it comes to learning the language. All right. The news we dive into with Shapad and I, like any other news, international coverage, even news that America refuses to show within the United States with a prophetic view. We break down the true intentions of LGBTQ in this, how they have been strategically put in place. Always they were working behind the veil, but they have been put in place as the new gatekeepers to actually destroy all morality left and do a straight attack on traditional values. And I'm not talking about LGBTQ. I'm talking about evil in of itself. All right. And we're going to talk about that according to the Bible. We go into the news concerning LGBTQ, and I'm going to talk about that more in this broadcast tonight. All right. And of course, we send you out the lessons, online interaction, Zoom calls. And guess what? It's the best 3 to 4 hours a day per week you'll ever spend learning the Bible. Much fun. Okay. Now, go to historytimes.org to enroll. Now, let me go over some of the lessons we'll be diving into. What lessons can we look forward to? Well, this particular academy, brothers and sisters, the theme will be unfolding the seals of the apocalypse. Okay. This coming Sunday, I'll be going into Elder Lawyer and I breaking down the seals written in the book of Revelation. What does that mean? How do you understand the manifold understandings when it comes to the apocalypse? Well, I'm going to go into the 7 seals this coming Sunday to end this academy, and we're going to dive even more. With each lesson we break down in the academy, we're going to link it to the end times apocalypse for the next academy. Okay. Unfolding the seals of the apocalypse will be the theme. And I hope you all attend, be a part of this, because, hey, we're dropping some serious knowledge. And a matter of fact, it's just in, Elder Lawyer gave it to me. We got the lineup for all 12 weeks for the Academy. Week 1, the creation of the universe, declaring the end from the beginning. So not only will we break down how all things began, folks, there is no beginning without an ending. Okay? That's why it tells us in the book of Revelation, Christ says, I'm Alpha and Omega. The ending has already unfolded. We just didn't get there yet. And I'm going to be talking about that. The ending has already happened from the heavenly standpoint. So when I break down the creation of the universe, I'm going to show you how that had everything to do with the ending, the end times apocalypse, the end of apocalyptic times. Keep in mind, folks, it's no different than if you receive an idea on how to do something, right? There's an initial thought process that goes into place. You begin what? You begin action that will lead to results, only to enjoy the ending that came with that idea. Right? So you get the idea first, and then you get things working with what? With an outcome in mind. Well, folks, that's right. This is how it was done from the beginning. Okay. So everything, when it comes to succeeding or finishing, let me give you some wisdom here. It doesn't matter the idea. If you cannot see the ending of any idea, it fails. But if you understand it from part A all the way to Z from the beginning, when you get to Z, you succeed. Okay? So we're going to be dropping that in the Academy. Okay? An idea is nothing unless you know how the results will end out, or the final outcome will result. Okay, so that's how it was in the beginning. We're going to talk about that. The creation of the universe, declaring the end from the beginning. First time teaching it that way. Tracing the serpent's seed, the final judgment of evil. Now, when I go into tracing the serpent's seed, I had a question in this Academy that really spurred some interest when it comes to the legends which are attached to Semiramis, Isis, Nimrod, whether or not Nimrod was part Nephilim, even though the Bible states that he was from the seed of Cush. Where does the Nephilim legend come from? Okay, so I'm going to be going into breaking down Isis, Semiramis. Was she from this world? And I'm speaking of Nimrod's mother. Okay, so when I break down tracing the serpent's seed, we're going to go into Semiramis, the mother that's worshipped in this earth as Mary today, but really she's Isis, Semiramis, and could she be a fallen goddess who fell in the beginning? You'll find out in the next Academy. The promised seed, the promise fulfilled. And when I go into the promise fulfilled, I'm going to also go into the following week, the split between Israel and Judah, finding the true Jews of the diaspora. Who were the Jews who were expelled from Spain? You'll have that history. Okay. The breakdown of modern day Christianity. Will there be a rapture like the Christian church teach? The answer is no, and we'll prove it. There will be no rapture, and we can prove it. The breakdown of Islam and the fall of Mecca. We're going to talk about that. Week 8, I'm saving this lesson for the first time being taught. The secret cult of Moloch. You'll never understand eugenics and why they have legislated getting rid of newborn babies, what they call reproductive rights. Folks, You'll never understand it unless you go back in history. Look into the Bible, and it highlights a secret cult of Moloch targeting children. Folks, you're going to find out what we see, what we call politics over there in Washington, D.C. and others is a part of a serious priesthood. It's a religion hidden in plain sight. Well, I'm going to talk about that. The secret cult of Moloch will be week 8. The judgment of the modern day Sodom and Gomorrah, week 9. Week 10, making it through Jacob's trouble. Okay. Backed by popular demand. Those who've seen that lesson want me to go over it again. So I'm going to do it for the next academy. How to make it through Jacob's trouble. The 4 beasts of Daniel. And we're going to end it week 12 with the kingdom of God. Okay. Life after earth. Week 12. Man, as we come closer to the end, brothers and sisters, these lessons become more profound. And none of this would be possible without your participation. So again, I'd like to thank you all for being a part of this, helping this church. And may the Most High bless you and your homes. And it tells you in the scriptures that those who have actually blessed the prophets will receive the blessing of a prophet. Okay, so thank you for your support. And we're going to do everything we can to really put our foot in the next academy. Okay. historytimes.org for those who are interested. And real quick, for those who usually use snail mail, because, we still use that mail. For those who are used to the old P.O. box, let me give you the new P.O. box. If you're sending to myself, Elder Lawyer, or the Gathering of Christ Church, we have a new box, okay? The new P.O. box, and you can find this on gatheringofchrist.org. Okay, the P.O. box is 114 481 South Oxford Road, Fairless Hills, PA 19030. P.O. Box 114 481 South Oxford Road, Fairless Hills, PA 19030. For those who always send to the P.O. Box, well, that's the new P.O. Box. So please use that going forward. I really appreciate this. I apologize for the inconvenience because so many people are used to the old P.O. Box. I don't want anything sent back to you, even though we tried to forward things and it's being sent back to people. Please use the new P.O. Box 114 481 South Oxford Road. And that's in Fairless Hills, PA. No, Oxford Valley Road. Oxford Valley Road. Oxford Valley Road. Okay. Make sure they understand Oxford Valley Road. Okay. They have to update our, hold on. Let me make sure they put this on the website. Okay. I just recognize that. Oxford Valley Road. And that's Fairless Hills, PA 19030. And again, I like to emphasize, brothers and sisters, that outside of the academy and others, we do appreciate when you support this work, like you see down here. If you appreciate our broadcast, when it comes to our weekly broadcast, $ GOCC 144 donate to help. Okay. If you don't have Cash App, it's okay. Go to gatheringofchrist.org. Show your support so that we can get resources to finish what the Most High started in this ministry. If you don't have Cash App, it's fine. Go to gatheringofchrist.org, hit donate, and please continue supporting the work. All right. Now that I've got that out of the way, right? Let's talk. I have Elder Lawyer. Before I bring in Elder Lawyer, just let me emphasize that next week will be in Las Vegas. Okay. The West Coast all-white gathering. Friday, we'll have the baptisms from 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Okay. 9 a.m. to 11:30 will be the baptism, strictly for those who are seeking to be baptized. Okay. Saturday at 9 a.m., doors open for guests. 10 a.m., we'll do a praise and worship. 11 a.m., we'll have a Sabbath lesson, Elder Lawyer and I. 2 p.m., we'll take communion. We'll pray out, bless the food. 3 o'clock, we'll sit down for meal. And between 4:30 and 10 p.m., music and fellowship. Okay. Next week in Vegas. Okay. If this interests you, please send your email to gatheringas1@aol.com or to the West Coast, and we'll make sure we can plug you in for this gathering. Okay. I wanted to put that out there. We'll be in Las Vegas next week. Okay. And again, I would like to say this. Even the last thing we did, brothers and sisters, in Augusta, Georgia, folks, the church paid for everything. Okay. There was no profit at all. I didn't receive a red cent. It was more so the church giving back for that gala we had that we could have charged so much for when it comes to the white carpet. So I'm going to let you know there's a lot of resources we put out to show our appreciation to the body. So I wanted, as we do these things, I don't want people to think that this is something going on that's about raising money when it comes to the gala and all that. No, we're not making money out of any of this, folks. It's coming out of the church treasury, and we're doing this to get people together, okay, to go baptize, to show our appreciation in this work. I don't receive nothing from this. I want to let you all know this. So when you see these galas, I don't want you to relate it to what you're seeing out there when Kirk Franklin and others come together to financially grandize themselves off of the Christian community. Now, not that I'm saying it's anything bad with them doing that. Keep in mind, a just weight for a just measure. If these people are performing and doing whatever they want to do and are seeking to make a profit off of the gifts of their hands or their voices or their talent, there's nothing wrong with that. But I don't want you to think because we're doing this on the next level that that is what this is. The money comes out of our treasury when we do things for the congregation like this. And I thought you should have full transparency to understand this, because as this church grows bigger, we're going to be doing some big things. Okay. But it's going to be what? To cast a wide net to save as many people as we can before the war, before things shut down. And yes, we will need resources so that we can turn these resources into something tangible before the paperless society is rolled out. Okay. So I'm just putting this out there because we've always been transparent, and that will never change. Okay. Now, jumping right in. Jumping right in. Here. It's time to go in now. And please do us a favor, brothers and sisters. Hit the like button. Okay. And I have to put these things out there sometimes because why? A lot of our people, understandably so, are fed up. We're fed up with all these scammers out there who we put our trust in only to find out that, you know, that they're scamming and just taking from those who have nothing. Like you got your grifters from the conscious community. Like you got this guy Johnson, Philadelphia, running around acting like a doctor, stealing money and all these things. So I can understand, brothers and sisters, why there's so much reluctance. Therefore, everything is transparent. All right. Now, let's jump right in. All right. As you can see, the title, The Love has waxed cold. Elder Lawyer, how you doing?
Shalom, sir. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm blessed by the best, and his name is AHAYAH, young man. Good to see you. You're looking nice and healthy, strong. That's what I'm talking about, the return of the Christ. Right?
Sir,
I see that shirt. You're looking nice and healthy, young man. I want to talk about a few things, Elder Lawyer. There's so many things going on, and I believe that everything that I've put together for this topic is for this broadcast tonight, right? It crystallizes the title I came up with, Love is Wax Cold. There's so many things going on, right? And I'm going to go into the numbers of how they expect so many people to be single by 2030. But there's a few things that I must talk about, right, before that, just to give some context, because many people are asking, you know, I have phone calls, you know, people send texts and all that. And they were talking about a few things that happened not too long ago with, in particular, the thing that happened with Straightway, or what you would call Pastor Dow's ministry, right? Right. And I don't know if anyone have heard about that, right? Where there was a raid on Pastor Dow's, well, it was more theater than anything, right? I don't know what happened. I'm not going to pretend I understand what happens, but I understand when the news report on something like this, the majority of the time, it's a hit piece, right? Something that brings a negative connotation to those who know who know the truth concerning us being Israelites. They'll never, I would say, report unbiased,
right,
or separate what someone does negative from the group itself. Now, am I in defense of Pastor Dow? No. But again, I'm careful not to jump on things like this, you know, just because the media would like us to demonize or attack or come against our own people. They love stirring the pot to see how it unfolds. Who's going to attack and go against their own people without hearing both sides? That's first and foremost. The Bible states, before two or more witnesses, let all things be established. Right? Let me put that out there. I'm not in defense of anything because I don't know what's going on with that compound and what's going on with that. I'm not a part of that. But I would say this, okay? And here's the honest truth. I will say from the beginning, and Elder Lawyer would know this, and I've been on record with this. I'm not against how they're going about the all things common there. And I put that on record. Not that I don't think that it's a good idea. It's a utopian idea that if all things worked out, it would seem like a good thing to do. But what you can't bank on, like I said from the beginning, what others are going to do, okay, when you bring them all together and there's so many people operating separately. If one person, even if they're not significant in the grand scheme of things, it's enough for the government to pull through someone else to pull the whole thing down. And what did I say in the beginning? I said, usually it's something with children. Think about this. Living in North Philadelphia, right? On the block, right? How many times we scraped our knee or broke limbs? And our parents like, what you doing, boy? Jumping off of old houses and roofs and all that. And nails, you know, how many things happen when you come home with a black eye from fighting, right? So what it's just natural as a young man or whatever the case might be, any injury that happened on these particular facilities, any injury, is going to be abuse. Even if it was an accident. You can have a family member that's malcontent who don't like what you believe in. And through that, they can go to the government and use a child to take the whole thing down. This is what I said years ago. Not to say what I said had anything to do with this, but it's too much responsibility that comes with unforeseen actions with people on your property. Right? So this is why I'm like, that all things common, because people change their mind. They get upset. They can come back and say, well, I want my money back. Right? Or someone can get mad at someone, and the Most High forbid, if someone wants to take something down, the only thing they can do after getting mad from leaving there is claim that someone got raped. It's too many things that can happen that the government is waiting for. And it usually comes through someone that was in the congregation who flipped. The person who loved you today can hate you tomorrow. And guess what? Christ says that many shall be betrayed, right? So my take is, what they do is their business. I have nothing to do with it. But I don't believe under those circumstances, what's going on in the earth today, that that's a wise thing, bringing people onto your property and all that, and what's happening. And not only that, with the prior examples that are out there. And for those who don't know what's going on, let me show them real quick, Elder Lawyer, right?
Yes, sir.
Because this is how the news is going to report things. This is going to sit back and wait for one disgruntled person, or for an accident to happen, or something that happens that's criminal. Automatically, they're going to attach it to the whole organization. Fair use for educational purposes only.
This is breaking news from the Fox 59 newsroom.
Fair use.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we found Bryson, and that's who we were wanting to find.
And Fox 59 continues our team coverage of breaking news this afternoon. A young boy considered missing for more than 2 weeks is now safe, and his parents, including a
is now safe. Now, Elder Lawyer, these are the same people who are championing rights to have children lives taken under abortion.
Exactly.
So now they care about a little black boy all of a sudden. So that's the hypocrisy of this, folks. The boy is safe. You think they really care about this young man? Boy, I can't wait to go into that secret Moloch teaching that I'm going to do in the next academy, folks. Talking about the little boy is safe. It only takes one family member who don't like the fact that you didn't come to the Christmas party, okay? Let's go.
And Fox 59 continues our team coverage of breaking news this afternoon. A young boy considered missing for more than 2 weeks is now safe, and his parents, including a former Colts player, are in jail. Daniel and Kristen Muir walked out of the courtroom after a judge denied them bond during their initial hearing. Thanks for joining us here first at 4. I'm Nick McGill.
And I'm Max Lewis in for Aaliyah today. Fox 59 has team coverage on this story, from the charges that couple faces to our exclusive footage of this morning's raid and to a look at the group behind that compound.
Yeah, we were going to begin in court here.
Y'all hear that? To take a good look at the group behind the compound. This is what I told people years ago. Why? Because Esau, folks, he doesn't create new tricks. He responds the same way under every instance. Historically, they've always did things the same way. Let's make it clear. The Move member on Old Sage Avenue, when they was looking to regenify a part of Southwest Philadelphia, about 3 blocks away from Will Smith lived. The first Elder Lawyer, the first black mayor, Wilson Good, I'll never forget him, was mayor when the Philadelphia police dropped a bomb on the MOVE members, what they called the MOVE members. They were black people seeking to do what? Live naturally, natural health, no modern medicine. Their children were intelligent. They were being homeschooled. And they dropped a bomb on a city block with a black mayor, folks, who approved it. Why? Because they had plans on turning that into a regentrification, and MOVE was able to sneak in and buy a bunch of these houses for $1. That's when they had dollar houses in Philadelphia for the underprivileged to build up. You can come down to City Hall, buy the houses for $1 if you're willing to fix it up, and you have a certain amount of time to fix it up. It was called dollar houses. They did this for the underprivileged, or our people, black people, as a give back. Well, MOVE members came in separate under separate names and bought about 4 houses on Old Sage Street where they were seeking to regentrify. They dropped the bomb on it. See, that's what they do. And they already set the precedent, Elder Lawyer, for when people try to come together and do something out religiously outside of government control. They have already set the precedent. What do I mean by that? Well, I believe that a lot of this stuff is staged and all that, some of it. But the Branch Davidian have set what? Has set the precedent for when people come together under some religion seeking to operate outside of society. Right? What happened with David Koresh? Let's talk about it. Fair use for educational purposes only.
In 1993, Americans watched breathlessly as FBI agents faced off with a self-proclaimed religious prophet and his armed followers in Central Texas. This was the established by leader Victor Houghton, a weeks-long standoff between the federal government and a religious group known as the Branch Davidians. Established by leader Victor Houghton, the Branch Davidians are a Christian sect, an offshoot of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
See that? See what happens? Fair use. Look at it again.
As FBI agents faced off with a self-proclaimed religious prophet and his armed followers in Central Texas. This was the Waco siege, a weeks-long standoff between the federal government and a religious group known as the Branch Davidians. Established by leader Victor Houghton, the Branch Davidians are a Christian sect, an offshoot of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, with a literal interpretation of the Bible's prophecies. Houghton and a group of his followers settled near Waco, Texas in 1935. Branch Davidians believe in the second coming of Jesus Christ and a day of judgment in which God will punish the wicked and reward.
What happened when a white family came together under a compound? Now, I think a lot of these stories, I don't know if they're made for TV or whatever the case is, but publicly they're setting a precedent that if we're willing to take out our own people for separating from society, we have set the precedent for what we'll do to anyone else. Okay? They knew that eventually people would get fed up and the children of Israel would begin to understand who we are and begin to move towards helping one another in the end times. So when you see stories like this, they have set the precedent to where they can lock things down, jam all communications, harm people like we've seen what happened here, and then let the news narrate the outcome. You'll never know what really happened. See? They'll jam communications, go in, claim somebody got robbed or something, got killed, that they're there to save the children, and wipe everyone out. They have done this before. Okay? So I don't have to be a prophet to show, brothers and sisters, what the outcome is when you plan stuff like that, especially if you have showing weapons behind you while broadcasting and teaching the Bible. Okay, so again, I don't know about the brother's ministry. I've always prayed for him. I always thought that the brother had some good points. The fact that he's courageous, but I never thought going this way was a good idea. Why? Because it didn't work for David Koresh. And he's white in America. Okay? And what happens is when they're ready to come against you, they shape the narrative. They're not going to come at you unless they know that they'll be able to shut everything down and be able to narrate from their side to have the moral high ground while destroying. Okay? Let me put that out there. Now, let's go back to the story now. Because what they do is they put these stories out first to get the world conditioned into accepting what they'll do next.
Here, though, Fox 59's Michael Van Scoik joins us now from the Cass County Courthouse. After sitting in on that hearing, Michael, what can you tell us now?
Well, Nick and Max, we heard that Cass County Judge Stephen Kitts denied bond for former Indianapolis Colt Daniel Muir and his wife Kristen Muir. Now, the two of them facing multiple charges. The judge cited reasons for denying those charges as the pair being a potential flight risk. Now, this came as a surprise to Muir. You could see that he was visibly upset by this decision. You could also hear making remarks to his attorneys about this decision. Now, Muir and his wife, Chris.
Now, what they're saying is, and I don't know whether or not it happened or not, right? But they're charging them with abuse, right? But do you think that they would have been held without bail if these were just two regular black people, elder lawyer, living in the United States that wasn't attached to that particular group? Do you think it would be without bail?
Probably not. And I'm just speaking off of, again, I haven't followed this situation to even know what the ins and outs are, but usually I would probably say no.
Okay, so now, and I'm not justifying if they did something, hey, the law is the law. But without bail? But now it's not just these parents under fire. That's the whole deal.
Kristen are both charged with obstruction of justice. Daniel is also charged with domestic battery in this case. Now, defense attorneys say Kristen is a nursing mother and asked the judge for a possibility of a GPS monitoring system from the court. Judge Stephen Kitts says this decision to deny bond has been based on the couple's failure to comply with anything over the past 2 weeks.
Fair use.
Daniel Muir's defense attorney did briefly speak to us on camera.
Let's go.
That search.
This
is video we shot exclusively
let me show you how they
Wednesday
came in.
morning, showing state police covering one entrance to this remote, large Logansport property, marked with signs saying "Welcome to Straightway Indiana Goshen," a religious group headquartered in Tennessee. Law enforcement had rifles at the ready as an armored IMPD SWAT vehicle sat inside the fence.
Y'all see this? An armored SWAT vehicle. See? And it says what? Teen rescued after compound raid. Folks, it doesn't matter whether or not it's exactly how they're reporting it. Okay? They have to now prepare themselves for the next shoe to drop. And hey, the only thing I have to say is, if I could give some advice, I would say they're going to have to change courses. Like, listen, hey, everybody go to their own house separate from this. We can still come together for Sabbath like Jews do in their community. But guess what? We can't operate like this, because if we do this, they're going to take the whole thing down. Okay, from the inside out. There's nothing for them to send somebody in there who's a mole to cause an issue that would allow the government to come through. That's just some words to the wise. That would just be some advice. Okay? Anything you have to say on the elder lawyer before I move? Because people ask my opinion, I'm putting it out there. Right? I have nothing negative to say about the brother. I think he's doing the best he can with what he know how to do. And he may even have, let's just say he have the greatest intentions. America doesn't work like that. And you gotta walk with, you gotta walk with some level of wisdom when it comes to things like this, because they'll harm everyone in a raid. I just want to put that out there. Anything you like to say, Elder Lawyer, before I pivot?
No, sir. I think you expressed everything. So yeah, we can get into it.
All right. Next, as we go into the love is wax cold, Elder Lawyer, there's this bug flying around here. I'm trying to get rid of it here. If it comes over here, it will adorn that light. That's all I got to tell you. It will adorn that light. You come over here if you want. You'll be on the first couple of minutes of those 7-day journeys. What do we have here, Elder Lawyer? This was also sent as we break down love is wax cold. Right? Now, what do we have here? Well, what we have here is a possible psyop waiting to happen. Somebody pieced this together on Instagram. I have some news that I'm going to put out there on Instagram and Twitter as we grow those social media platforms. Look forward to that. But look what someone put together with IUIC marching down the street. They take all young men, whether it be 12 and older, put some purple shirts on them. That's their business if they want to do that, and march and show a sign of force before the world. If that's what they want to do, hey, it's their lives. But look at what someone clipped with them marching. They're not the only one. The only ones marching. When the Bible says nation shall be against nation, check this out.
It's black. Jesus Christ is black. And I left this world. I left this world. I left those streets. I left those.
The same time the group is marching, IUIC, the neo-Nazis are marching.
Moses told me. Moses told me. Deuteronomy. If we grow old.
Fair use. Fair use. Now, all due respect to them, it's their lives and they can do what they think is right. Now, that's on them. Now, there's thousands upon thousands of people in this church. If I wanted to, I can request or command all the men throughout the United States and the world to line up all the young men, the teenagers, and all the men within the church and put on white shirts and march in army formation. And there will be thousands upon thousands of people marching. I could do that. But I would never do that. Okay? The reason why, I said it once before, you don't show a sign of force living under Esau's empire. At any time, a provocation can ensue. They can bring in someone to provocate. What happens when someone throws the first blow? And that's all I can say. And at the end of the day, I wouldn't do it, because if Christ and the disciples didn't do it, why would I? Christ told that centurion, elder lawyer, don't think that I cannot pray to the Father and have legions of angels block out the sky. He could have ordered the angels to come, but it isn't time. There is no force to be shown without your king. We're here to wake up the children of Israel, not put the men of Israel in harm's way. And some people might think that that's cowardice. No, that's not cowardice. It's wisdom. The Bible states, be wise as serpents, harmless as doves. And it seems as if we're walking into the same circle that happened, the same secular destruction that happened right after the death of Christ, when men started making themselves a reputation and using Israelites to show force against the Roman Empire. Now, these men can do what they want, but I don't think it's the right thing. All due respect. I have nothing against these men. I believe they're courageous. I believe they believe in the Bible. But I just wouldn't put the men of the Most High in that type of danger. And I pray for them. I pray for all of them. But I understand how Esau operates. And I believe that it will get into a provocation. One of these days, Esau is going to show some force and going to provoke. And if they hit one of these men, it's going to get bloody. Anything you have to say on that, elder lawyer, as we go? Love is wax cold.
No, sir. No, sir.
All right. Okay. I think I might be hitting on to something here, right? Now, why am I going into this before I jump into everything else? While everyone is thinking about the cognitive digression of the president, while the world is stoking a race war. Let me turn the page and get to my topic now. What are we missing? What aren't we looking at? Well, elder lawyer, it so happens that, and of course, elder lawyer, I'll tell you, I look into these things and I bring them in real time. I try not to tell them in advance exactly some of the things I'm going into for the broadcast. I like the spontaneity, right, of his reaction when you give one, right? But
yes,
elder lawyer, while everyone is being distracted over all these things going on in the earth, there's some legislation that's actually getting resisted or being resisted in California. While they destroying families and all these others, LGBTQ and all these others are trying to stop a bill that you can't hear nothing about really in the United States at all. You have to actually go into international news to know this is actually happening. There's a bill, a Senate bill, 1414, that was presented February 16, 2024. It was amended July 3rd, amended in Senate May 22nd. July 3rd was an amend, right? And there's hearings going on presently. Why? In this bill. And I always look into these things. What is this bill? SB 1414, for those who didn't hear about it. You can't go into prophecy and not understand what's going on politically behind closed doors while they keeping everyone distracted. What is the bill SB 1414? As amended, grove crimes. Let me put it here, show you where it's at. Solicitation of a minor. Under existing law, a person who solicits or who agrees to engage in or who engages in any act of prostitution with the intent to receive compensation, money, or anything of value from another person is guilty of disorderly conduct, a misdemeanor. Under existing law, if the person solicited a minor and the person who solicited the minor knew or reasonably should have known that the person solicited a minor, the offense is punishable by imprisonment in the county jail, for a mandatory minimum of 2 days and not exceed 1 year, by a fine not to exceed 10,000 or both such fine and imprisonment. This bill would make the offense applicable only to a defendant who has 18 years of age or older at the time of the offense. The bill would, if the person solicited was under 16 years of age, or if the person solicited under 18 years of age at the time of the offense and the person solicited was a victim of human trafficking, make the offense punishable as a wobbler by imprisonment in the county jail for not more than 1 year and a fine not to exceed $10,000, or by imprisonment in the county jail for 16 months or 2 to 3 years, right? In a nutshell, Elder Lawyer, what they are trying to do is to change all of these laws to make it what? To make these laws a greater deterrent, to give higher prison sentences for those who violate underage children, be it pedophilia, be it underage child trafficking. There's a push to put some serious penalties on the books for those who are targeting children. And Elder Lawyer, you wouldn't, now, under normal circumstances, you would expect something like this to pass with no resistance, correct?
Correct, Con.
Well, there's a long line of LGBTQ in line at the Senate giving their opinions on why this bill must be stopped, because they feel it's a direct attack on LGBTQ. Think about this. If you are a grown person dealing with your own person, now the Bible says it's sin, but you choose to decide where you want to spend the rest of your life for an eternity after this by your actions on earth. So listen, if you want to do that, that's your business, but leave the children out of this. Why are they, Elder Lawyer, pushing to stop harsher sentencing? Why? Think about this.
Right.
Like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to say that, I mean, are they trying to legalize pedophilia? So, without any further ado, before I segue to the next thing, while they distracted and tearing down family, and why am I going here? Because the next piece I go ties it all together. And I'm going into the love is wax cold. Folks, why do you think they separated family? Because separation of family give these people higher access to our children. More children are placed in the system for them. More children are alone while one parent is working. That would give them a greater access. And with the migrants cutting loose in our inner cities and all of this, and with them targeting our children being over all these social programs, folks, this is how they turn the next generation out. So while man and woman is fighting against each other and can't get along, guess what? You have LGBTQ at the Senate halls trying to stop a bill that will protect your children. And there's no traditional families there in number politically resisting them. See, well, they got everybody looking over there. They're getting legal access to your children. And this is why they need infighting between what? Man and woman. Fair use. Now look at what they're saying. They're laughing about this in Australia, elder lawyer. America is a laughing stock. Fair use.
Well, let's stay in the United States. You'd think legislation to increase penalties for people soliciting minors for prostitution would be a no-brainer. I mean, no one would agree that behaviour should go on. If someone tries to do that, jail them for the longest time. At the moment in California, if you solicit a minor for prostitution, it's 2 days jail, 1...
Now, let me say this is for fair use, educational purposes only. We're living in the end of days, and I'm showing, as a man who believes in the word of God, the prophecies that will lead to the fall of Babylon, okay? Fair use. This is for religious purposes only. Fair use.
Minors for prostitution would be a no-brainer. I mean, no one would agree that behaviour should go on. If someone tries to do that, jail them for the longest time. At the moment in California, if you solicit a minor for prostitution, it's 2 days jail, 1 year maximum, and a $10,000 fine. So,
look, in California, you spend 2 days in jail for soliciting a child. 2 days and a fine up to $10,000, and you're back on the street stalking children again.
So the Republicans want to increase the penalties to 4 years jail and a $25,000.
So it's the Republicans, elder lawyer, who's trying to protect children. It's the Republicans that are trying to protect the children that are being used and trafficked all throughout the United States. So what happens when the Republicans see that it's our people holding up those who are trafficking children? See, you have to understand the politics, the optics of this, folks. You have to understand what they've attached us to know the outcome. And it'll be our people standing for Democrats. And the Democrats are behind closed doors trying to do what? Trying to get a hold of your children.
$1 fine, and yet that is being opposed by LGBTQ activists who claim that upping the severity of fines for those who solicit minors for prostitution would disproportionately affect the LGBTQ community. Have a listen to that.
Look at that. So, elder lawyer, if you try to stop them from soliciting children, you are discriminating against LGBTQ. I think you're muted, Elder Lawyer.
Yeah, I was saying, wow.
So now they're saying, well, hold up. If y'all put this in place, so are they saying that this is something that's going on where there's an attachment between those particular people and children without saying it?
Right. Right.
And if so, isn't this what the other side, who stand for family, God, and truth, have been saying the whole time?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Just asking a question. And look at the Australians laughing.
To this.
We are particularly concerned that the harsher penalties proposed in this bill will disproportionately impact marginalized communities.
Now, this is a nut job type liberal white woman. These are the people who are leading our people to destruction, folks. So listen to what she says. I'm not even going to deal with her persuasion or what her sexual persuasion. I'm going to deal with the fact that this is a liberal white woman before the Senate crying that this is going to hurt gay people if there's protections put in legally for children.
The LGBTQ community. Have a listen to this.
We are particularly concerned that the harsher penalties proposed in this bill will disproportionately impact marginalized communities, especially members of the LGBTQ community, who already suffer from systematic biases within the criminal justice system, particularly when it comes to sexually based offenses. Studies have shown that LGBTQ people, particularly gay and transgendered individuals, are more likely to be charged with sex offenses compared to their heterosexual counterparts. For instance, LGBTQ individuals are 9 times more likely to be charged with sodomy. Measures like SB 14.
She says the LGBTQ community, Elder Lawyer, is 9 times more to be charged with sodomy. So you're discriminating because you got to let them do what they're going to do. But she's stating that what she's leaving out, folks, is these acts against children. They're 9 times more to be charged with sodomy. So she's saying, y'all need to back up off of this and let us sodomize these children.
14 lead to higher rates of incarceration, longer sentences, and increased difficulties in finding housing and employment.
And she said, Elder Lawyer, and it gets in the way of them being able to find housing and employment. That means if these laws are in place and these are felony charges, then what? You would think twice about allowing them to just go next door, adopt children, and sell other underage people in the community. And what she's saying is that they're victims because of these harsher penalties as being presented through the bill SB 1414. And mind you, Elder Lawyer, I seen the hearing. I don't want to hear it all. I'm going to play the rest. I went and seen the hearing. It's like a 3-hour hearing, so I had to parse through it this morning. And don't you know that she said she was able to fix her face and claim this is going to disproportionately affect not just LGBTQ, but the black and brown communities. Because they're more so, black people are charged with more sex offenses than other demographics. So she actually shoehorned us in there with them. And while we're sitting here at odds at each other, not realizing what's going on, folks, you got these people who have what? they have a strong grip on all the politics within the United States. And while we're at work, minding our business and not doing anything, they're in position to actually change or to actually move all the laws that would destroy any future for traditional values and God when it comes to family. They're at City Hall when every key bill is instituted that would resist the fall of Babylon. They're there. And you don't see no families coming together saying, well, listen, y'all need to stand down because y'all talking about getting access to our children. How dare you stand in here, resist the bill that would protect our children? There's no families there anywhere in these Senate hearings to push back. I need y'all to think about that. They're looking at anything that could resist them of selling our children, and they're getting in front of it. And there's no family, not our people. There's no one of us there to be found resisting it. Why is that? And I need that question answered tonight.
To that, and I simply could not believe what I was hearing.
Fair use. Hit the like button.
How does anyone make sense of an argument like that?
I'm sure the LGBTIQ community are saying, please stop talking on our behalf. That is the opposite of standing up for them. I mean, they're literally pointing the finger at this community saying, if you are going to punish people for having sex with minors, then you're disproportionately punishing people belonging to the LGBTIQ community. If that doesn't make...
If that's not a confession, I don't know what is. If they're saying, Elder Lawyer, that this will disproportionately affect LGBTQ, are they saying that they disproportionately deal with underage children without actually saying it?
Exactly.
That's sounds
exactly
like
what they're saying.
Yeah, that's a confession.
Right.
And if so, and they're willing to say this, put it on public record, what are we thinking? What are the people are willing to do to protect their future? And the world, you wouldn't see the news within the United States reporting it like this. This is Sky News Australia laughing at last week a president that couldn't put one sentence together a couple of weeks ago. And now LGBTQ are trying to knock down a bill that would protect children. At the same time, Kamala Harris is talking about, I'm out here in those streets and I need to make sure we give our sisters their reproductive rights, which means reproduction means you're having children. But no, reproduction rights in Wonderland, in Crazy Land, means the killing of children under abortion. And the whole world is laughing.
You just absolutely incredulous.
Fair
and
use.
Here's the senator.
Y'all doing a great job. We almost 2,000 thick up in here, brothers and sisters. If y'all can hit the like button, one or two, just a few people who haven't hit it as of yet, it would really help us out to get some traffic here. Thank you.
Who tried to bring this bill. There were amendments passed. Her name is Senator Grove. She was trying to include 16 and 17-year-olds in this bill because, of course, obviously, officially, they too are minors.
Elder Lawyer, something just came to mind, right?
Right.
LGBTQ is less than 10% of the population for those who identify with it, right?
Right.
The key voting bloc for the Democrats that put LGBTQ in position politically are black people in America, the descendants of slaves. Now think about that. So indirectly, without us saying anything, I don't care what people might think, folks, for anyone with a thinking brain looking at the Democrat Party, at the end of the day, if we're the greatest voting bloc of the Democrats, and these are the people we are allowing to have access to our communities, it's stating that all of this child trafficking and pedophilia is what we agree with. Anyone with a thinking brain on the outside of this will look at it and say, this is what black people stand for. Because they have the voting power in the greatest voting bloc to make sure none of this exists in their communities. And I need y'all to really think on that for a moment, of what they've tied us to. I don't want to hear about no George Floyd. I don't want to hear about no racist cop. I don't want to hear about none of this crap. When it's our sisters that are dying when they go to have babies, and now we need to look into what's really going on with our sisters out of all the people having babies, having high mortality rates compared to any other ethnicity. When pregnancy is pregnancy, whether you're black, white, Hispanic, whether you're Asian, pregnant is pregnant. How is it our sisters are going into the hospital and they coming up dead? And our children are getting harmed and all that compared to every other race. And I'm putting this all out there right now to say the love of many have waxed cold. This is the people who don't even love themselves if they allow politically to go down what's going down. If you're the greatest voting bloc for the Democrats, and they claim that the black woman is the backbone of the Democrats, this is what the Democrats claim, then we need to ask the question, Elder Lawyer. Are we naive to some degree? Have we missed the fact that maybe what we're seeing and what we support is what we are? Could it be? And it's just too heinous to accept. It's so bad of a thought to actually accept, but at the end of the day, we have to look at it and say, well, hold up. They know abortion comes with supporting this. They know LGBTQ and all this come with supporting this. What have we been overlooking when it comes to our own people? If you're not against it and you're voting for it, I'm just putting some questions out there. Are we more for this than what we're willing to admit? And I'm speaking of we as a people. I'm not down with it at all. God isn't down with it at all. But the reality is there I'm just putting the question out there, brothers and sisters. Because indirectly, folks, the optics is what they're going to use to come against our people. If you're the greatest voting bloc and you're allowing people to traffic children with your vote, you're the problem. They're not looking at the 7% or less of the population as the problem because they don't got the power to put anyone in political position. Homosexuals in the United States are a vast minority. They don't have the political power by themselves to do this. So from the outside, people are looking at the majority of the voting bloc who is putting them in position, and these people will not only go after our children, but theirs too. They're not looking at LGBTQ as the problem. They're looking at us as the problem because we have the power to stop it. and don't. We have the power to stop it and are silent. Elder Lawyer, I see more people talking about how bad Trump is and the debate, and no one is talking about this. This will align, folks. I'm going to tell you, this gives everyone else the moral high ground against us. If they're saying you're the backbone of the Democrat Party, and politicians are put in place based on our voting bloc, what does that say if we allow these people to do what they're doing? That's saying that we're the voting bloc who agrees with all of this chaos, destruction, mayhem, and child trafficking. Now I'm starting to understand. Hey, fair use. Let me finish this.
As well, it was a real bun fight to try and get this across the line, and she wasn't quite successful. Here she is explaining.
Who would have thought in the state of California it'd be this hard or this difficult to protect minors, 17 and below, from men that purchase them for sex? Take a look at this. Today in the Public Safety Committee, they allowed us to charge a wobbler instead of a full felony. For those that are 15 and below, it can be charged as a felony or a misdemeanor, but it also excluded...
Now look who's actually standing up, Elder Lawyer, for the protection of children. Now, folks, I'm going to tell you, the media, when they put something together, folks, there's nothing by chance. Everything is calculated. If they're out there putting out there over and over again that black women are the face or the backbone of the Democrat Party, and the Democrat Party is pumping out all the filth that's destroying the United States and the world and our families. Right? Think about this. They'll be all day long, rolling on everything. The black woman, we need the black woman, the black woman, the black woman. Right? And then after that, there's a white woman trying to save the children. Now, whether or not she believe all this, because I understand how these secret religions work, is of no consequence. Whether she believe it or not ain't what it is. It's the fact that what she's representing is protecting children while they're throwing our sisters under the bus claiming that we're the voting bloc, the main voting bloc for all that's wrong in the world. It's the optics.
...16 and 17-year-olds from those provisions. The 16 and 17-year-olds now have to prove 2 crimes. They were bought and sold, trafficked into the industry, and that's the only way you can go after the perpetrator who initiated this whole process by negotiating to buy them for sex in the first place. It shouldn't be that difficult. That's it. People that buy children for sex in the state of California should go to prison.
It is just...
Can't really add to that.
That's an aha moment. Those who molest and traffic children should go to prison, right?
It should be that straightforward. The prosecutors in California have already come out saying, well, given those are the preconditions of actually prosecuting or having a chance of prosecuting someone who's soliciting sex from the 16, 17-year-olds, it's going to be almost impossible to prosecute.
So now I'm going to show you how Esau, Elder Lawyer, here is the cunning hunter again. Because the white women on this side is saying all the right things. Right? They should be locked up. Perpetrators and all these others, they should be arrested. They should spend decades in jail to protect our children. We have white women saying the right thing. Now, this is how the cunning hunter operates because they play both sides against the middle. Right? So let's go back. Let's go back to this for those who missed it. Right? Let's go back real quick. They play both sides against the middle. What do I mean by that? All right, let me go back. Hold on. There's a bill, SB 1414. 1 second, let me get the mark here. Let me go back. Here it is right here. SB 1414, Elder Lawyer. Now, this is how the cunning hunter works. You got the white women standing for the rights of the children. Let's get rid of anyone who's seeking to traffic children. Yes, right? But this is how the cunning hunter works. You got the white women working on that side who's saying, let's protect the children. Good. And then you got the white women on the other side.
We are particularly concerned that the harsher penalties proposed in this bill will disproportionately impact marginalized communities, especially members of the LGBTQ community, who already suffer from systematic biases within the criminal justice system, particularly when it comes to sexually based offenses. Studies have shown that LGBTQ people, particularly gay and transgendered individuals, are more likely to be charged with sex offenses compared to their heterosexual counterparts. For instance, LGBTQ individuals are 9 times more likely to be charged with sodomy. Measures like SB 1414.
Yeah, we can't incarcerate sodomites who are targeting children because it disproportionately affects gay people, as she claimed. You can't make this up. Now, why am I going here? She's a white woman who's stating that, nah, we need to strike down this bill so that you don't arrest gay people for going after children. See, but here's the problem. At any time, this white woman right here, at any time, this white woman right here on the end, out of her mind, can change courses and become this white woman here.
It can be charged as a felony or a misdemeanor.
At any time. See, and that's the cunning hunter. At any time, the white woman that's starting all this other stuff can change courses. See? Because they have the right to do that. Black women only vote one way. And what happens is, if that here it is, those with common sense would attack the voting bloc that's allowing grown gay people to have access to children. They're not going to attack the white gay people. They're coming after the voter bloc who put the pedophiles in place to harm children. That's how Esau, that's why he's the cunning hunter. He can indirectly attack you even if you're not in the room. By default, anyone who don't understand numbers would say, well, who have control over the Democrats' voting bloc? It isn't white gay women. So let's move the whites out of the way and attack black people. Are y'all getting it now? They'll play both sides against us. Even when we're not in the room, we're the target, and it's based on our what? Our ignorant decisions to go hard for everyone else without even realizing that we'll be the scapegoat. Hit the like button. I'm dropping some stuff on y'all tonight. Now, Elder Lawyer. Here we go. Here we go. Right? Through Willie Lynch. Let me tell you this, Elder Lawyer. Through the beginning of Willie Lynch, chattel slavery, Jim Crow. We went through all of that and still survived as a unit, where our demographic, the children of slaves in America were the most married in the United States compared to any other race or demographic within the United States. Moral values, the moral foundation of the United States, because we as a whole in number believed in the Bible and Christ. One generation of feminism did more to harm our people, God's people, than chattel slavery. Why am I going with this? Because how do you divide a nation? How do you divide a people? Well, you divide and separate the woman from the man and have them view the world through separate lenses, politically and otherwise, to stay at odds with one another. And that's where we are. So what does it mean? Matthew 24:12, Christ stated that there isn't just going to be a scenario where there'll be race against race, like we're seeing what's actually ferment and working, as we can see. The love of many shall wax cold. Let me show you this. They're not going to have any problem getting access to more children to violate. Let me show you this. And these numbers are shocking, Elder Lawyer. I'm going to show you where this is all going at the very end. The Bible says the love of many shall wax cold, and we're here. And because there's no love one for another, values, we've allowed the separation of our people. Now, when I read this article, Elder Lawyer, I read it carefully, because even though they're showing a white woman here, they're showing a demographic of how many women in particular in America who will be single and childless regardless of race. What they're not telling people in particular is that the black woman far outnumber the other demographics in this. They're just throwing these numbers together. Let me read this, and I'll tell you what it means, and we can talk about this. 45% of women are expected to be single and childless by 2030, per recent projections. Let's talk about it. Some of this article was written with the help of AI. This article includes affiliate links. That means what AI did was extrapolate all the different data and articles all together into one single work. And this is what it spit out. This article includes affiliate links. Listen to this. Our culture often promotes the idea that an unmarried woman without children possesses empowerment and autonomy over life. This narrative suggests that she has liberated herself from the perceived obligations of raising a family and being beholden to a husband. So in a nutshell, our culture have what? Emboldened empowerment, where a woman will choose what? Her own life, her own direction for life over her purpose. Empowerment means I'm anti-family until I'm what? Until I'm too old to do what I was doing at a younger age. So raising a family is something later. When really, raising a family starts, that's a young woman's responsibility to begin a family early. Raising a family and being beholden to a husband. Regrettably, whether it's right or wrong, this is the viewpoint, folks. This viewpoint has gained traction in our society. Many women have embraced the contemporary feminist lifestyle, opting for diverse relationships, considering abortion in case of unexpected pregnancies, and foregoing marriage altogether. These cultural shifts are poised to exert a significant influence on the future of American society. What they're not saying is that it's the end of American society. If you give the rights to LGBTQ, which is anti-family, anti-tradition, anti-values when it comes to traditional values, if you give them the reins and destroy the family at the same time, I like how they fittedly put the future of American society. American society is over. If any one of the two decide that they're not going to do what? If they're not going to fulfill their purpose according to God. Let's just say what it is. According to a projection by Morgan Stanley. Now, you know, I was always an insurance guy. I was on the business side of things. Why is Morgan Stanley interested in this dynamic? It is estimated that by 2030, 45% of women in their prime working years, ages 25 to 44, will likely be single and without children. Now let's stop right there before I go into why this interests the banks and Morgan Stanley. Right? If I will, Elder Lawyer. Let's stop it there. Well, Sigmund Freud and Ed Bernays in the early 20th century came up with what we would call the marketing through psychology. Right? The only thing you have to do is get someone to desire individualism to sell things. Now, at one point, America didn't want that because it's disingenuous and altogether it's deceitful. Even Christ stated, "Would food, shelter, and raiment be there with content?" By them injecting this psychology within the American culture, they made it where Americans would look at their life and believe, nothing I have is enough. Well, that's all you need to do to drive an economy, a GDP. If people aren't satisfied with what they have, you can always sell them something else. Now, like I said, at one point, America was predominantly religious, Bible believing, and knew how immoral that thought was. Right? But they came up with a way. They started hiring streetwalkers, not for what you think, but for propaganda. They would dress them up as nice ladies and have them walk down New York, and it was called the torch of power. These women want to liberate themselves and smoke cigarettes when tobacco was a man thing.
Yep, torture freedom.
Torches of freedom, they called it. Yeah, they called it torches of freedom. They
with a mind job.
Yeah, they paid streetwalkers to dress up like nice-looking ladies to walk down New York at a parade, liberated smoking cigarettes. And now the other women, the good traditional women, are saying, well, hold up. That's what I'm talking about. Why should that be something just for a man? And what were the tobacco companies, what were they able to do? They were able to get half of the adult population who weren't smoking cigarettes to buy cigarettes. And where the life expectancy normally would be where a woman would live up into her old age and a man would work in the coal mines and all these other trade jobs, these hard machinery jobs, as well as smoking, a woman would outlive her husband by almost twice of his life expectancy and take his inheritance to be able to live an old life and have something for her children. But then they started smoking and the women started dying at an early age. They accepted death. Their life expectancy, women started going down with the men because that's exactly what Satan wanted. Then later on, they did hit the like button. They did feminism. Why? Using the same old play in the 50s and 60s. Because they was like, well, okay, this is where Morgan Stanley and the banks come in at. Look, why is it we're only taxing half of the adult population? We need to get the women into the workforce. It wasn't about equality. It was about being able to level off the wages against men. If you have a small working pool, when a man demands a raise, you had to give it to him. We would work a job, men, until retirement because they needed people. The workforce was minuscule. And therefore, it was the what? It was the employed who had the corporations under a barrel. It was the labor force that was dictating things for the company, and they didn't like that. They said, you know what? Let's bring the women in. Therefore, they're smart. They can handle things. And now we have more leverage against the men and we can drive down wages. And on top of that, here's a caveat. We'll tax both of them. Well, what about their children? Don't worry about their children because while they're busy, we can now indoctrinate their children to accept all of this as the norm. We'll change the curricula and we'll indoctrinate the children. Destroying the traditional values that made our families great with legacy and name. And leaving the children to fend for themselves unprotected. Think about that. Incarceration went up, drug use went up, all of that. And then they said, we'll do one better. Women used to go to college to find the husband who would take care of them the rest of their life. And that was a white thing. No one is going to see those white women play those sports. Them white women were going there to pageant themselves before the affluent white men so that they can leave college with a high-class husband. That's what college was. The black man was able to go to college through athletics. And through that, we would become the affluent professors and all that by getting degrees while playing sports. They say, hold up, let's leverage this off. The black man got too much power. Let's open it up and make college a black woman thing. And we'll put them under debt. and have them leverage their degrees and all of that against their men. What can you tell me? I'm more educated than you. I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And it would make relationships amongst blacks unattainable. That was the plan. To create lofty expectations now that someone has a degree, to the point where family is a thing of the past. Tradition is a thing of the past. Submission is a thing of the past. And eventually, men would respond in turn. Now, how does this work for Morgan Stanley? Because now, if I can trap man and woman into the workforce, think about this now. When the men die off or whatever the case is and they're single, I'm taxing both of them. But now each of them are responsible for separate living abodes. So they're not bringing their money together to take care of legacy of family. So there's nothing left for the children. And because of the life expectancy drop, they'll both end up dying before retirement. And now we're let off the hook with the retirement money. So eventually we can raise the retirement number to a number where either of them could reach while we destroy them all. Now, I'm going to show you how deceptive this particular, elder lawyer, this particular article is, because it's showing a white woman. See, and that's the deception. Like I said earlier, at any time, the white woman is going to go back and submit back to her man. The same with Asians and everyone else. When stuff start hitting the fan, she's going to go back and she's going to say, listen, I have never turned my back on my man. I've never said anything negative about our men publicly. They're going to run for protection. And they're going to act like, elder lawyer, that they didn't start any of this. At the end of the day, these white women are going to run for protection and act as if they didn't start none of this, while our sisters are going to be left out there to dry with no one to help them. I'm going to finish this in a moment, but then not him. Let me get here. Not him. There's one thing I wanted to show, an article. 1 second. Let me see if I can find it. Fair use.
Jersey landlord is under arrest tonight, accused of cutting deals with tenants. Police say his form of payment was not cash, check, or money order, but sex.
Joseph Centani is accused of targeting over a dozen struggling tenants facing eviction.
Accused of coercing 13 tenants, elder lawyer, into sex between 2016 and 2020. A large number, the majority of women that this guy was soliciting or exchanging favors, sexual favors from, were black women who didn't have a place to go. And now there's videos coming out one after the other where now, instead of the streets, now this is the position they wanted our people under, to where they'll have access to our sisters without any resistance, where now our sisters have to compromise themselves just to survive. This is what they were planning the whole time. It wasn't about empowerment. It was about having these nasty, greedy people to have access to our women without protection. Now, let me go back to the article real quick. There's countless videos out there, brothers and sisters, on what I'm talking about here. But let me go back to the article, if I may. Do I have the article? Hold on. Yeah, let me go back. I'm going to finish this up and open up the line in a moment. (2019), this is what Morgan Stanley said. In 2019, Morgan Stanley released a report discussing the impact of women on the American economy. The number of prime working age women in the United States has been steadily increasing. What they're not telling people is that when a woman gets to a certain age, her body can't do it anymore. What you can do as young, while you are young and vibrant, going to school and all that, your body can handle. But when you get up in age, you cannot work like a man.
Right.
And then they're going to be like, well, no one told me about this chapter of my life alone, with no one to help me. And the United States has been steadily increasing, with many of them choosing to remain single and fully dedicated to their careers. So either you have to choose to marry the career or the state. Either way, submission is due. But now the submission leaves a woman without no choice but humiliation and demoralization. This is what they intended from the beginning. These women will continue to make a growing portion of the workforce, thereby contributing to wage growth. Economist Ellen Zentner elucidated historically the gender pay gap was largely attributed to differences in education. And guess what? The pay gap has been proven to be a bogus lie created in some of these whack job universities. There's no wage gap. You can't just look at salary and say there's a wage gap when the most dangerous jobs pay more.
Mm-hmm.
So the jobs that pay more, women don't want to be up scaffolding up 150 floors to try to, to put steel girders in and all these things. A woman don't want to do that. A woman don't want to be working on a well tanker in the middle of the water, having to stay there 24 hours or 48 hours and see no land. Women don't want those types of jobs. So when they talk about a wage gap, it's a lie. There's a wage gap because the dangerous jobs are for men. When they say a wage gap, they're looking at the lofty jobs of the CEOs and all these others and saying, well, they're getting paid more, because you don't know what it takes for a man to get from nothing to there. And no one is just not going to give up their job they work to get to succeed simply because someone is another man. He's not going to give his job up to another man, let alone a woman. So that's nonsense. There is no wage gap, folks. That's another lie. That's like the WNBA talking about there's a wage gap, Elder Lawyer. And no one looks at them play basketball. There's no money for you unless you're subsidized by men.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So they're able to sell this delusion over and over again to keep men and women at odds by diluting one side. The gender pay gap that doesn't exist, she's lying to people again, was largely attributed to the difference in education or career choices. That's a lie, because look at all the education we got. Look at all the educations our sisters have right now and are struggling. See, it's these white Jewish women like Ellen Zentner who be lying to our sisters. They're telling you the wage gap is because there's a difference in education. Who go to more school than our sisters? And our sisters are still at the bottom altogether in wages earned compared to any demographic in the United States. And are the what? Highest enrolled in school. So that was another lie they gave. Education doesn't guarantee you middle to high class. Nowadays, motherhood is the primary factor contributing to the wage gap, as many women who become mothers often opt to reduce their work hours or leave the workforce. So now this article, this woman is daring, this economist is now saying that you got a choice between submitting, doing a family, or getting out in the workforce, becoming a man. To make women feel less than if they do what women have been doing since Eve was pulled out of Adam. Nonetheless, it appears that in the coming decades, there will be a decline in the number of mothers as women prioritize their careers over starting families. The percentage of single women in the United States is projected to increase 1.2% annually from 2018 to 2030, compared to the 0.8% increase in the overall population. This shift expected to result in 45% of women aged 25 to 44 being single childless by 2030 from 41% in 2018. And what Zentner is not telling you folks, she's married. You know, I had to do the research on all. This woman that's talking is married and telling you why you need to forget about submitting to a man and just getting on his program. But yet she's submitting to a man. It's the same Sigmund Freud. It's the same Ed Bernays psychological mind job they've been doing since the early 20th century. To dare you to go out there on a limb with no help while they are secure with legacy and family. Zentner further noted, these changes society norms are enabling more women, whether they have children or not, to pursue full-time careers. What full-time careers they were talking about in 2019 when they knew they were going to open the borders to all these other people we see coming through the borders now. They lied. The jobs that are left are being taken away from our people, including our women. AI will replace desk jobs. But they had to pivot people from what? From the brick and mortar to have people begin to work at home so that they didn't have to have you deal with the shame of the cardboard box walk. See? That old cardboard box on your cubicle. You can forego that shame because they already transitioned people at home, so to not go through the conflict. These changing societal norms are enabling more women, whether they have children or not, to pursue full-time careers. And let me tell you right now, and I'm going to put it here, and I challenge anyone to talk to argue against this. The purpose of a woman has always been a man. See how simple that is? A woman's career is a man and children. That's how God intended from the beginning. Mm-hmm. And somewhere they creeped in and made people believe that a career is building yourself individually from your other half. to pursue full-time careers, which should continue to boost the labor participation rate among single women. Well, that all worked in 2019, Zettner, but why didn't you tell them about the illegals who would come and work for a fraction of what you're paying those who went to college? See that? So this liar have deceived women, and they push this stuff in these crazed nut job colleges. And one better, what they do to make sure they lock you into the indoctrination is attach you to debt where you're forced to make something work that doesn't. You're forced to work just to pay for your past education, a time you can't get back, but you're still paying for it. So it's a deception when putting a white woman here. All due respect to her, even though she's in these numbers and they will be affected right now, as far as our people, the children of Israel, the children of Judah in America, right now, only 25% of our women will ever be married. That's as of now. That number will drop precipitously, by 2030. Little tongue tie there. By 2030, folks, that number will be down to where under 20, Elder Lawyer, to 15%. They're not telling people that. Think about that. The OnlyFans train have left the station.
Right.
So where does this leave? Well, right now, and this is what they're planning. They have it planned, Elder Lawyer, how to do it. A woman is going to have to survive. I'm speaking of the women in the world. We're going to get to the Bible in a moment. The women in the world are going to have to survive by getting something from a number of men to make ends meet from week to week or from month to month. So now, instead of having to be able to submit to one man, they got to have all these different types of men who they can add up to one cost, one amount that they can get, hopefully, from all these different men by the end of the month. I don't even want to show the video I seen where the landlord, Elder Lawyer, came in.
Yeah.
It's such a shame. And saying, well, you did it before. You know what it is. And she says, she's filming saying, I'll tell your wife. He says, it's a white man. He's like, listen, my wife lived in one of my rental apartments. This is what he said. My wife lived in one of my rental apartments. And I'll throw her out in the street too. This is what he said. Heartless. Because he put himself in position to do exactly what he's doing. And she probably know about it. So he said, listen, you don't got to worry about your credit. You can come on in. You can have 1 month, instead of security. I know you want hard times. Come on in. Don't worry about it. No credit score, no nothing. It doesn't matter. Come on in. I'm going to give you a place to stay. And now these old decrepit sinners, these demons, now have what? They have access to every woman they want within our communities who's suffering. And at the end of it, these freaks get access to the children. When we're on hard times, they're targeting the children. That's what I wanted to show. That bill 1414, because this is their plan. To take the children, knowing that women aren't going to have anything to provide. The only way that we can survive this. Women in particular, because our sisters will be disproportionately affected by this, is to tie themselves to a man of means who have a good head on his shoulders, someone who believes in God if you can, as soon as possible. And I'm going to tell you why that's so important. With me speaking to people, even when I spoke to someone I haven't seen in days, I like to keep my ear to the ground. For the first time in a long time, we're dealing with a group of men who finally understand their worth and aren't going to get tricked into a bad deal. So it's going to take, Elder Lawyer, sisters to submit. It's going to take sisters. Sisters are going to say, you know what? I had it wrong. I had it wrong. It doesn't matter how I got here. He did wrong. I did wrong. I can't change the past. Save me. Save me. And here's a question, Elder Lawyer. Is it too far gone? Do you believe pride has set in so thick, so hard? And I believe that to some degree, that's what it means when I read these scriptures, Elder Lawyer, when it says the love of many shall wax cold. Well, you know what's intertwined with that? Pride. You got men who are now looking at things and saying, well, listen, through their pride, I'm not going to be taken advantage of anymore. I'm not dealing with anything disagreeable anymore. And I'm going to hold a hard line until someone budge, and I'm not budging. I'm a man. And then it's going to take the sisters on the other end saying, listen, I need all this, but I don't want to come off. I don't want to come off powerless. Right? I don't want to come off as if I need a man. I don't want